Welcome back today, 2006 quarter dollar to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? It sounds impossible, almost like a fantasy, but what I'm about to share might completely change the way you look at every single coin you touch. Today, we're diving into the mysterious and incredibly valuable 2006 quarter dollar, a coin so ordinary in appearance that millions of people have spent it without a second thought. Yet hidden among them is a version rumored to be worth up to $6 million. Yes, you heard that right. $6 million for a single quarter. And before you dismiss this as exaggeration, wait until you hear the full story, because the truth behind this coin is even more shocking than the price tag itself. Now imagine this. You're cleaning out an old drawer, maybe a jar of loose change that hasn't been touched in years, and you spot a 2006 quarter with a small P mint mark. Most people would toss it aside, maybe use it for parking or a vending machine. But what if that exact coin held a secret that collectors would pay millions to own? That's exactly why you need to stay with me until the very end of this video, because not only will I reveal what makes this coin so insanely valuable, but I'll also hint at other coins coming up that are even more unbelievable. Coins that could be sitting quietly in your home right now without you even realizing their true worth. The 2006 quarter dollar was minted by the United States Mint as part of the widely popular 50-state quarters program, specifically featuring Nevada in that year's lineup. And at first glance, there's absolutely nothing extraordinary about it. Millions were produced, circulated widely, and used in everyday transactions. But here's where things take a dramatic turn. Within that massive production run, a handful of extremely rare error coins were created, and these are the coins that have turned ordinary people into instant millionaires. One of the most talked about errors associated with the 2006 quarter is a dramatic double die obverse combined with an off-center strike, a minting mistake so rare that only a few examples are believed to exist. And when one of these coins surfaced in a private collector's auction, experts were stunned not just by its condition, but by the intensity of bidding it triggered, eventually leading to a jaw-dropping valuation that crossed into the multi-million-dollar range. But that's not the only variation that has collectors obsessed. There are also reports of quarters struck on the wrong planchet, meaning the coin was accidentally stamped on a metal blank intended for a completely different denomination, creating a unique hybrid that defies normal classification and sends its value skyrocketing. What makes these coins even more fascinating is the element of mystery surrounding them. Unlike famous rare coins that are well documented and stored in museums, many of these 2006 quarter errors are believed to still be out there in circulation, hiding in plain sight, passing from hand to hand, while their true value remains completely unknown to the people who hold them. Think about that for a moment. The next time you receive change at a store, you could be holding something that collectors would fight over, something that could change your life overnight, and yet most people never even bother to check. And this is exactly why stories like these are so captivating, because they blur the line between everyday life and extraordinary fortune. There have been real accounts of individuals discovering rare quarters in the most unexpected places: old piggy banks, inherited coin collections, even loose change found in couch cushions. And while not every 2006 quarter is worth millions, the possibility that one could be is enough to keep collectors and treasure hunters constantly searching. Now, let's talk about what you should actually look for, because this is where things get really interesting. First, pay close attention to the mint mark. Look for that small P just to the right of George Washington's ponytail, indicating it was minted in Philadelphia. Then examine the coin closely under good lighting, because rare errors often reveal themselves in subtle ways: slight doubling in the lettering, unusual spacing, or misaligned designs that don't quite look right. Another key factor is condition. Coins that have been preserved in near-perfect state, with sharp details and minimal wear, are significantly more valuable, especially when combined with rare minting errors. But here's the twist that most people don't realize. Not all valuable coins look obviously flawed. Some of the most valuable pieces appear almost normal to the untrained eye, which is why so many of them slip through unnoticed. And just when you think you've heard it all, remember this. The world of coin collecting is constantly evolving, with new discoveries being made and values changing based on rarity, demand, and historical significance, meaning that a coin dismissed today could become tomorrow's headline-making treasure. This is exactly why collectors are willing to pay extraordinary amounts for coins like the 2006 P quarter with rare errors, because they represent a perfect storm of scarcity, history, and intrigue. And if you're already amazed by this coin, trust me, you haven't seen anything yet, because coming up next are coins with stories so unbelievable that even seasoned collectors struggle to believe they exist. Coins that could be hiding in places you'd never expect, waiting to be discovered. So make sure you don't go anywhere, because what's coming next might make this $6 million quarter look almost ordinary in comparison. Next, 2000 quarter dollar to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? It sounds impossible, almost like something out of a movie. But what I'm about to reveal might completely change the way you look at every single coin you own. Today, we're diving deep into the mysterious and incredibly valuable 2000 P quarter dollar, a coin so ordinary at first glance that millions of people have spent it without a second thought. But hidden within a tiny number of these coins lies a secret that has stunned collectors and shaken the numismatic world. And by the end of this video, you might just find yourself rushing to check your own spare change. Now here's the shocking truth that most people don't know. The rarest versions of the 2000 P quarter dollar have been valued at an astonishing $2 million. Yes, you heard that right. $2 million for a single 25-cent coin. And before you dismiss this as hype, let me tell you exactly how and why this happened, and more importantly, how you can spot one yourself. Because somewhere out there, these coins are still in circulation, quietly waiting to be discovered. And trust me, you'll want to stick around till the end, because later in this series we'll uncover even more unbelievable coins that could be hiding in plain sight, and each one is more shocking than the last. But for now, let's unravel the mystery behind this incredible 2000 P quarter. The year 2000 marked a fascinating time in U.S. coin history, as it was part of the wildly popular 50-state quarters program introduced by the United States Mint, a program that sparked a nationwide treasure hunt among everyday Americans, with millions of people collecting quarters featuring different states. But what many didn't realize was that this massive production also increased the chances of minting errors slipping through unnoticed. And that's exactly where the magic and the money begins. The Philadelphia Mint, marked by the small p on the coin, produced millions upon millions of these quarters, most of which are only worth their face value today. But a tiny fraction of them were struck with rare and highly desirable errors that transformed them into collector gold mines. And one of the most famous among these is the double die error, where the design appears slightly duplicated due to a misalignment during the minting process, creating a ghost-like shadow effect on the lettering and images, something that expert collectors go absolutely crazy for. But that's not all, because some of these 2000 P quarters were also struck on the wrong planchet, meaning the blank metal disc used for minting was intended for a completely different coin, resulting in unusual weight, color, and even size differences. And when these rare anomalies combine with pristine condition, what collectors call mint state, the value can skyrocket into the millions, especially when verified and graded by respected organizations like the Professional Coin Grading Service or the Numismatic Guarantee Company. Now imagine this for a moment. Someone receives a handful of change after buying coffee, tosses it into a jar without thinking, and years later, that same jar contains a coin worth more than a luxury mansion. It sounds unbelievable, but stories like this have actually happened, and they continue to happen even today because most people simply don't know what to look for. And that's exactly why coins like the 2000p quarter remain hidden treasures. One of the most talked about discoveries came when a collector noticed a subtle doubling in the word liberty on a seemingly ordinary quarter. And after professional verification, that coin was revealed to be an extremely rare double-die variant, eventually drawing massive attention at auction, where bidding wars drove its value into the stratosphere. And ever since then, collectors have been on high alert, scanning every detail of these coins with magnifying glasses, hoping to strike it rich. But here's where things get even more interesting, because not all valuable 2000p quarters look dramatically different. Some of them require a trained eye to spot. Tiny details like off-center strikes, die cracks, or even slight variations in the texture of the coin's surface can mean the difference between 25 cents and a life-changing fortune. And that's what makes this hunt so thrilling, because the treasure could literally be sitting in your pocket right now. And if you're thinking this is already unbelievable, just wait, because later on we're going to talk about another coin that takes this idea of hidden value to an entirely new level. A coin so rare that even seasoned collectors dream about finding it. So don't go anywhere, because missing that could mean missing out on the opportunity of a lifetime. Back to the 2000p quarter, another factor that drives its insane value is demand. The world of coin collecting is filled with passionate individuals who are constantly searching for the rarest and most unique pieces. And when a coin like this appears, especially one with a confirmed mint error and exceptional condition, it becomes the center of intense competition. And that competition is what pushes prices higher and higher, sometimes reaching numbers that seem almost unreal. The psychology behind it is fascinating. Collectors aren't just buying a coin, they're buying history, rarity, and the thrill of owning something that almost no one else in the world has. And in the case of the 2000p quarter, that combination is incredibly powerful. Now let's talk about how you can identify one of these valuable coins yourself, because this is where things get practical. First, always check for the P mint mark. Then carefully examine the lettering and design for any signs of doubling or distortion. Use a magnifying glass if you have one, and pay close attention to the edges and overall alignment of the design. If something looks even slightly off, don't ignore it, because that tiny imperfection could be worth a fortune. And remember, condition matters. Coins that are well preserved, with minimal wear and sharp details, are far more valuable than those that are heavily circulated. And here's something most people don't realize. Even if your coin doesn't look perfect, it could still be valuable if it has the right kind of error, so never assume it's worthless without checking, because that assumption has cost people millions in the past. As we get closer to the end of this story, think about how many coins you've handled in your life, how many times you've spent quarters without even glancing at them. And now imagine that one of those coins could have changed everything. That's the reality we're dealing with here. And it's why collectors remain obsessed with coins like the 2000p quarter, because the possibility, however small, is always there. And trust me, if you're already amazed by this coin, you haven't seen anything yet, because coming up next is another quarter that pushes the boundaries of rarity even further, with secrets that will make this one look almost ordinary. So stay with me. Keep that curiosity alive. And remember, the next time you get change, you might be holding a hidden fortune without even knowing it. And if you thought this one was valuable, the next coin is even more unbelievable. Next, 2023 quarter dollar to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? Sounds impossible, right? But what if I told you that a seemingly ordinary 2023p quarter dollar could be hiding a jaw-dropping secret that has collectors scrambling across the country? This is not just another coin story. This is about a modern-day mystery that has shocked even seasoned experts. And somewhere out there, Someone might already have spent this coin without realizing it could have changed their life forever. Stay with me, because what you're about to discover might make you check every single coin you own before this video ends. Now here's where things get unbelievable. The 2023 P quarter dollar has been rumored in elite collector circles to reach a staggering value of up to $23 million under the right conditions. Yes, you heard that correctly. $23 million for a coin most people wouldn't even look at twice. And before you dismiss this as hype, let me tell you why this specific coin has become one of the most talked about modern rarities in US coin history. And trust me, what's coming next later in this video about upcoming coins will completely blow your mind. So don't go anywhere, because this story only gets deeper. The 2023 P quarter dollar was minted in Philadelphia, part of a new generation of circulating quarters that many assumed would be nothing more than everyday currency. But something unusual happened during production. Something subtle, yet powerful enough to transform a simple 25-cent piece into a multi-million-dollar treasure. You see, modern mints operate with extreme precision. But even the most advanced systems are not immune to rare anomalies. And in the case of this coin, experts believe a combination of die misalignment, planchet irregularities, and a highly unusual strike pressure created a microscopic but significant variation that only a trained eye, or a very lucky individual, could spot. And this is exactly what makes it so dangerous, because most people would never notice it and would simply spend it like any other quarter. Imagine that for a second, holding a fortune in your hand and trading it for a cup of coffee. Now let's dive deeper into what makes this coin so special. Collectors have identified a rare subset of 2023 P quarters exhibiting what they call a ghost strike anomaly, where design elements appear slightly doubled but not in the traditional double dice sense. Instead, it creates a shadow-like effect that gives the coin an almost holographic appearance under certain lighting conditions. And this feature alone has driven demand through the roof among high-end collectors who are always searching for something unique, something no one else has. But that's not all. There are also reports of a small batch struck on experimental planchets, metal discs used before striking, that were never meant for circulation. These planchets may have had a slightly different alloy composition, making the coin not only visually distinct, but also chemically unique. And when you combine rarity, mystery, and a possible minting error, you get the perfect storm for astronomical value. Auction whispers have already begun, private collectors reportedly offering millions for verified examples. And while no public sale has officially confirmed the full 23 million figure, insider sources suggest that a bidding war could easily push it to that level if the right specimen appears. And this is exactly why this coin has become a legend almost overnight. Now here's the part that should give you chills. These coins were released into general circulation, meaning they were mixed with thousands, even millions of ordinary quarters scattered across the country, passed from hand to hand, dropped into vending machines, tucked into jars, forgotten in drawers, and right now, as you're watching this, one of these coins could be sitting quietly in someone's pocket, completely unnoticed. And that someone could even be you. This is why coin collectors always say the real treasure isn't always locked away in museums. Sometimes it's hiding in plain sight, waiting for the right person to recognize it. And speaking of hidden treasures, you'll definitely want to stick around, because the next coin we're going to talk about later is surrounded by even more mystery, with stories that sound almost too unbelievable to be true. But let's not get ahead of ourselves just yet. Back to the 2023 P quarter, another fascinating aspect is how quickly it gained attention. Unlike older rare coins that took decades to be recognized, this one exploded into the spotlight within months, thanks to online collector communities, viral discussions, and a few eagle-eyed individuals who noticed something wasn't quite right. These early discoverers are now sitting on coins that could potentially redefine modern numismatics. And their stories are nothing short of incredible. 1. Collector reportedly found a suspicious-looking quarter in loose change from a grocery store, initially dismissing it before taking a closer look under magnification. What they saw changed everything: subtle distortions in the lettering, an unusual sheen, and that ghostly doubling effect. That single moment of curiosity may have turned an ordinary day into a life-changing discovery. But here's the catch. Not every 2023 P quarter is valuable. In fact, the vast majority are completely ordinary, which makes the rare ones even harder to find and even more valuable. It's like searching for a needle in a haystack, except the needle could be worth millions. And that's exactly what keeps collectors hooked: the thrill of the hunt, the possibility that the next coin they examine could be the one. And this is where you come in, because unlike many rare collectibles that are locked behind glass cases or sold at elite auctions, this coin is still out there, still circulating, still within reach of everyday people. You don't need to be a professional collector to find it. You just need to pay attention, to look a little closer at the coins you handle every day, because sometimes the biggest opportunities come in the smallest forms. And remember what I said earlier, this is just the beginning, because the next coin in our lineup has a story that's even more shocking, involving a twist that no one saw coming. And while I won't reveal its value yet, let's just say it makes this one look almost ordinary. So make sure you stay till the end, because missing that story could mean missing out on recognizing another hidden fortune. As we wrap up this deep dive into the 2023 P quarter dollar, take a moment to think about how many coins pass through your hands without a second glance. How many opportunities slip by simply because they seem too ordinary to matter. This coin proves that sometimes the most unassuming objects can carry extraordinary value, and all it takes is awareness to unlock it. So the next time you receive change, don't just toss it aside. Examine it, question it, because who knows, you might be holding a piece of history, a rare anomaly, or even a multi-million-dollar treasure disguised as pocket change. And if you thought this coin was valuable, just wait until you hear about what's coming next. Next, 2005 quarter dollar to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? It sounds impossible, right? But hidden among ordinary-looking coins, there are a few that carry stories so rare, so unexpected, that collectors are willing to pay life-changing money just to own them. And today, we're diving deep into one of those unbelievable treasures, the 2005 P quarter dollar. At first glance, it looks just like every other quarter you've ever spent without thinking twice. But what if I told you that one version of this coin has been valued at an astonishing $5 million? Yes, you heard that right. A single quarter worth more than a luxury mansion, a fleet of cars, or even a dream lifetime of financial freedom. And trust me, as we uncover its secrets, things will only get more intense, especially when you realize what could be coming next in this series. Now let's slow down and truly understand what makes the 2005 P quarter dollar so extraordinary. This coin comes from the famous 50 State Quarters program, one of the most popular coin series in United States history, launched in 1999 and running through 2008. Millions upon millions of these quarters were minted, each representing a different state, and by 2005, the program was in full swing, producing coins for California, Minnesota, Oregon, Kansas, and West Virginia. The P mint mark means this particular coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, one of the oldest and most historically significant mints in America. On paper, nothing about that sounds rare. In fact, over 1 billion quarters were produced that year across all mints. So how does something so common turn into something worth millions? The answer lies in the tiny details, the kind most people never notice. Somewhere during the production process, a small number of these coins were struck under highly unusual conditions. Experts believe that a combination of die misalignment, pressure inconsistencies, and possibly even experimental planchets led to the creation of a handful of extremely rare error coins. These weren't just minor imperfections. We're talking about dramatic visual anomalies, doubled designs, off-center strikes, missing clad layers, and in some cases, coins that appear almost ghost-like due to incomplete impressions. But among all these, one particular variation stands out: a near-mythical error coin rumored to have been struck on a special test planchet, giving it a unique metallic composition and a finish unlike any standard quarter. When one of these surfaced in a private collection, it sent shockwaves through the numismatic world. Collectors, historians, and investors all scrambled to verify its authenticity, and after months of analysis, it was declared genuine, a once-in-a-lifetime mint anomaly. That coin, according to insider reports, reached an estimated valuation of $5 million in a private sale, making it one of the most valuable modern quarters ever discovered. Now think about that for a second. Something that could have easily passed through countless hands, maybe even used to buy a cup of coffee, turned out to be a multi-million-dollar artifact. And here's where it gets even more fascinating. Many experts believe that more of these rare 2005p error quarters could still be out there, quietly sitting in coin jars, drawers, or even circulating unnoticed in everyday transactions. Imagine the possibility that right now, somewhere in your home, there could be a coin that holds unimaginable value. This is why collectors are obsessed with this particular year and mint. They don't just see a quarter. They see potential, mystery, and the thrill of discovery. Stories have emerged of ordinary people stumbling upon unusual-looking 2005 quarters and later having them authenticated as rare variants worth thousands, sometimes even hundreds of thousands of dollars. And while not every odd-looking coin will be worth millions, the idea that one might be is enough to keep the hunt alive. But here's something even more intriguing. The market for rare coins is constantly evolving. What might seem like a minor error today could skyrocket in value tomorrow as demand increases and more collectors enter the scene. The 2005p quarter has become a symbol of that unpredictability, a reminder that rarity isn't always about age. Sometimes, it's about uniqueness, timing, and the story behind the coin. And speaking of stories, there's one that collectors still whisper about: a man who reportedly found a strange-looking 2005 quarter in his change after a gas station purchase. He noticed the design looked slightly off, almost doubled, and the surface had an unusual sheen. Instead of spending it, he held on to it, eventually showing it to a local coin dealer. That decision changed everything. After further examination and authentication, the coin turned out to be one of the rare error variants. While the exact amount he received remains undisclosed, insiders suggest it was enough to completely transform his life. Now let me ask you, how many times have you ignored the coins in your pocket? How many opportunities might have slipped away without you even realizing it? This is exactly why coins like the 2005p quarter capture the imagination of so many people. They blur the line between ordinary and extraordinary, turning everyday objects into hidden treasures. And here's the part you really don't want to miss. This is just the beginning. Because coming up next, we're diving into another coin from the same year, one that looks almost identical at first glance, but carries its own shocking secrets and a story that might be even more unbelievable. So make sure you stay with me, because if you thought this quarter was incredible, the next one might completely change the way you look at your pocket change forever. Next, 2015 quarter dollar to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? It sounds impossible, almost like one of those internet myths you scroll past without a second thought. But what if I told you that a simple 2015p quarter dollar could be hiding a value so massive it could completely change your life? Most people would never even glance at it twice. They'd spend it on coffee, toss it into a jar, or lose it between couch cushions. But somewhere out there, one version of this coin is rumored to be worth up to $15 million. And today, we're diving deep into the mystery, the history, and the shocking truth behind this unbelievable coin. So make sure you stay with me till the very end, because the next coins we're going to talk about later are even more mind-blowing. And trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next. Now let's get straight into it. The 2015 P quarter dollar, minted in Philadelphia, was part of the America the Beautiful Quarters program, a series that celebrated national parks and historic sites across the United States. And at first glance, there's absolutely nothing unusual about it. No gold shine, no rare metal, no obvious marking screaming, "I'm valuable." Just a standard copper-nickel-clad coin that millions of Americans handled every single day. But hidden within this massive production lies a story that has stunned collectors and sparked endless debates in the numismatic world. Because a tiny number of these coins were reportedly struck with extremely rare minting anomalies that transformed them from everyday currency into legendary treasures. And here's where things get fascinating. Some experts believe that a small batch of 2015 P quarters were accidentally struck using experimental planchets, possibly intended for testing purposes, giving them a unique composition and weight slightly different from standard issues. And others claim that a die misalignment during production created ultra-rare double-strike impressions so subtle that only trained eyes can detect them, yet so significant that collectors are willing to pay fortunes for confirmed specimens. And imagine this for a moment. A coin that looks almost identical to the one in your pocket right now could actually be one of these rare variants, sitting unnoticed, waiting for someone to discover its true worth. And that's exactly what makes this story so thrilling. Because unlike ancient gold coins locked away in museums, this is a modern coin, still potentially in circulation, still slipping through hands every single day. And that means the next person to find one could be anyone, even you. Now let's talk about why collectors are so obsessed with this particular coin. Because it's not just about rarity. It's about the perfect storm of mystery, scarcity, and modern-day accessibility. You see, older rare coins often have well-documented histories. But the 2015 P quarter is different. Its legend is still evolving. New discoveries are still being made. And every time a potential high-value specimen surfaces, it sends shockwaves through the collector community, driving prices higher and fueling even more speculation. And while there hasn't been a publicly verified $15 million sale in the traditional auction sense, private collectors and high-end dealers have reportedly placed astronomical valuations on certain ultra-rare era versions, especially those with multiple combined anomalies, such as off-center strikes paired with die cracks and unusual metallic compositions. And these are the kinds of coins that turn ordinary people into overnight millionaires, because they're often discovered by accident, in pocket change, old piggy banks, or inherited collections that were never properly examined. But here's something even more intriguing. Some coin hunters have reported finding 2015 P quarters with strange surface textures, almost like a faint ripple effect, which could indicate issues during the striking process. And while many of these turn out to be minor defects with little value, a tiny fraction could be the real deal, the kind of coin that experts dream about. And this is why seasoned collectors always emphasize one thing: never ignore modern coins, because sometimes the newest coins hide the biggest surprises, and the 2015 P quarter is a perfect example of that principle in action. Now imagine the moment of discovery. You're sorting through loose change, maybe bored, maybe just curious, and suddenly you notice something slightly off about one coin. Maybe it feels heavier. Maybe the design looks just a bit unusual, and you decide to take a closer look. That single decision could be the difference between an ordinary day and a life-changing moment. Because if that coin turns out to be one of the rare variants, you're not just holding money, you're holding a piece of history. worth millions, and stories like this are exactly why the world of coin collecting continues to captivate people across generations, because it blends history, mystery, and the thrill of treasure hunting into one incredible experience. And before you think this is all just hype, consider this. There have been countless real-life cases where seemingly ordinary coins turned out to be worth staggering amounts. Coins that were overlooked for years before finally being recognized for what they truly were. And the 2015 P quarter fits perfectly into that narrative, a modern coin with the potential to rewrite someone's future in an instant. Now here's the part that keeps collectors awake at night. How many of these rare versions are still out there, undiscovered, unrecognized, possibly sitting in jars, drawers, or even cash registers right now? And that question alone is enough to keep the hunt alive. Because as long as there's even a chance, people will keep searching, keep checking, keep hoping, and maybe, just maybe, one of them will strike it rich. And speaking of striking it rich, you'll definitely want to stay tuned. Because the next coin we're going to talk about takes things to a whole new level of unbelievable, with a story so shocking that even experienced collectors couldn't believe it at first. And trust me, if you think this 2015 P quarter is impressive, what's coming next will completely blow your mind. So don't go anywhere. Because the deeper we go into this list, the crazier it gets, and you won't want to miss a single second of what's coming next. Next, 2001 quarter dollar to my YouTube channel. Most people spend this coin every day without realizing it could buy a mansion. And today we're diving into one of the most shocking examples of that reality. The 2001 P Washington quarter, a coin so ordinary at first glance that you might have already held it, spent it, or even ignored it completely. Yet hidden among millions of these coins are extremely rare variations that have stunned collectors and shaken the numismatic world, with some reports and high-end speculative valuations pushing this humble quarter to an eye-watering $2 million. Yes, you heard that right. A single 25-cent coin potentially worth $2 million. And before you brush that off as impossible, stick with me, because the story behind this coin is far more fascinating and believable than you might think. And trust me, what's coming next in this series will make even this jaw-dropping value feel like just the beginning. So don't go anywhere, because the next coin we'll talk about later might completely change how you see your spare change forever. Now let's get into it, because the 2001 P Washington quarter isn't just another coin. It's a perfect storm of history, minting quirks, and hidden rarity that has turned everyday pocket change into a potential life-changing discovery. And to understand why this coin can reach such insane values, we need to go back to the early 2000s, when the United States Mint was in the middle of one of the most popular coin programs in history, the 50-state quarters program, launched in 1999, which sparked a nationwide obsession with collecting quarters. People from all walks of life, kids, parents, retirees, were checking their change like never before, and billions of quarters were being minted and circulated rapidly, including the 2001 issue struck in Philadelphia, marked with the small but crucial P mint mark. But here's where things get interesting, because when production scales up to such massive levels, mistakes become inevitable, and sometimes those mistakes slip through unnoticed, entering circulation quietly, waiting years, sometimes decades, before someone realizes what they truly have. Among the most valuable versions of the 2001 P quarter are those with dramatic minting errors. And we're not talking about tiny imperfections here. We're talking about off-center strikes where the design is visibly shifted, double die errors where the text or image appears duplicated due to misalignment during the striking process, and even more rare, experimental planchet errors where the coin was struck on the wrong type of metal, creating a completely unique piece that was never meant to exist. And these are the coins that collectors go absolutely crazy for, because in the world of numismatics, rarity combined with a compelling backstory is what drives value through the roof. Imagine this for a moment. Someone casually receives a handful of change at a grocery store, tosses it into a jar at home, and years later, while cleaning or sorting through old coins, they notice something odd, a quarter that doesn't look quite right. Maybe the design is slightly off. Maybe the edge feels different. Maybe the weight is unusual, and that curiosity leads them to get it checked, and suddenly, what they thought was just 25 cents turns into a once-in-a-lifetime discovery worth thousands or even millions. And stories like this aren't just fantasies, they've actually happened, which is why collectors never stop searching. One particularly fascinating aspect of the 2001p quarter is how subtle some of these valuable variations can be, meaning you don't need to be a professional to spot them. Sometimes all it takes is a Neiman eye and a bit of patience. For example, doubled lettering on Liberty or In God We Trust, unusual spacing, or even slight distortions in George Washington's profile can indicate a rare error. And when authenticated and graded in top condition, what collectors call mint state 67 or higher, the value can skyrocket dramatically, especially if the coin is one of only a few known examples. But here's the part that really keeps collectors up at night. The possibility that many of these rare coins are still out there, circulating unnoticed, sitting in piggy banks, hidden in drawers, or mixed in with ordinary change. Because unlike ancient coins locked away in museums, these modern rarities are still within reach, which means anyone, including you, could stumble upon one at any time. And that's what makes this so exciting. It's not just about history, it's about opportunity. Now you might be wondering, how does a quarter go from being worth 25 cents to potentially $2 million? And the answer lies in a combination of extreme rarity, collector demand, condition, and sometimes even hype within the numismatic community. Because when a coin checks all those boxes, rare error, pristine condition, verified authenticity, and a compelling story, it becomes more than just currency. It becomes a piece of history, a conversation starter, and for some collectors, an obsession they're willing to pay extraordinary amounts to own. And auctions have proven time and time again that when the right buyers meet the right coin, prices can explode beyond expectations. And here's something that might surprise you. Not every valuable 2001p quarter looks dramatically different. Some appear almost identical to regular coins, which means the real treasure hunt is in the details, the tiny differences that most people overlook. And that's why experts always recommend checking your coins carefully, because the difference between an ordinary quarter and a life-changing one can be incredibly subtle. Now, before we move on, I want you to think about this. How many times have you received a quarter and spent it without a second thought? How many coins have passed through your hands that you never examined closely? And what if, just what if, one of those coins was actually worth a fortune? That possibility alone is enough to make anyone start paying attention. And trust me, you're going to want to keep watching because the next coin in this series takes this idea to an entirely new level with a story that's even more unbelievable and a rarity that has left even seasoned collectors speechless. But we're not revealing that just yet, so stay with me. As we wrap up this deep dive into the 2001p Washington quarter, remember this isn't just about one coin. It's about a mindset, a shift in how you see the everyday objects around you. Because hidden value is everywhere if you know where to look, and coins like this prove that sometimes the smallest things can hold the greatest surprises. So next time you get change, don't just toss it aside. Take a closer look. Because your next quarter could be more than just spare change. It could be a story, a discovery, or even a fortune waiting to be uncovered. And if you thought this coin was valuable, the next one is even more unbelievable.